Hello and welcome again to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick. We're here in London at the Great Telco Debate 2015. I'm with Martin Taylor, the CTO of Metaswitch. And Martin's just been on a panel talking about the supply chain. Martin, good to see you again. Let's talk about what you've just been talking about to the audience in there. Part of the thesis seems to be that suppliers have failed to add competitive advantage to telecoms operators. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. It's of course it's a complicated question, and it doesn't have a simple answer. I think I would say in some ways that telcos have colluded with their vendors in not innovating. Some of the telcos have frankly arguably become a bit lazy. I talked to a big mobile operator the other day who said, our problem is that we've outsourced our thinking for the last 15 years. That's a terrible thing to admit, but I think a lot of telcos realise that is what they've done and want to bring stuff back in-house, get more control of their destiny, become more of their own system integrator, select technologies that are best in breed, and just generally take back what they have let go over the last decade or so.
Two immediate points and rejoinders to that, I would say, is first of all, if you give away that kind of influence and control, it takes a long time to get it back, especially in an organisation like a service provider or a telco.
Yeah.
So it's a long-term process, do you think?
Well, I think it is, yes. It's a cultural change, it's a skills change, and of course this is all happening at the same time as telcos are trying to embrace software and the software way of doing things, which is certainly very different. I think, one of the observations I'd make is that historically, telcos building networks with equipment went to enormous pains to get it right first time, and that's why it would take years to launch a new service. And that's probably the way you have to do things if you're sourcing boxes and connecting them up to deliver a new service. But in a software world, that's not the optimum way of doing things. The optimum way of doing things is to define a minimal viable product, get it out there quickly, learn from the market reaction to it, what it needs to do better, and then to keep iterating and improving. And that is something that telcos have observed the web world doing, but they are still, I think, struggling to internalize that and apply that to their own way of doing things. And we see that with how they're approaching building the NFV infrastructure. I think some of them are trying to build the perfect one-size-fits-all, get it right first time NFV infrastructure, and that's taking them a long time. Whereas if they were thinking more in software terms, then they would start out with a first release that was good for some use cases but not all, and learn from that and keep iterating.
Okay, and the other thing is about the other side of the other rejoinder I was going to make to you is on technology itself within service providers and telcos. The cloud's there, the technology's there, the equipment's available, but they seem to be taking a long time for them to actually get into the whole notion of virtualization, the cloud and so on. Is it taking them too long to do that, do you think?
Well, remember that they published the original white paper. This was a group of tier 1 telcos 3 years ago. And of course, a lot of them have been doing a lot of research on this, well predating that. So I think one could argue that things are moving fairly slowly, but this is a seismic shift that's going on. So it's bound to take some time. But we would urge them to go about things in a more iterative way and not try and get everything right first time, because they just won't.
So basically, then, Martin, I don't know whether you're going to agree with this or not, but you could say really it's not all the telcos' fault, but it's not all the suppliers' fault either.
I think that's right. As I say, suppliers have evolved to serve the market, and the market has been telcos, and between them they've evolved together in a sort of symbiotic relationship, and that hasn't necessarily fostered the greatest in innovation. But I think bringing it back in house. And kind of breaking that symbiotic relationship and becoming a little bit more self-sufficient, and of course, really learning the lessons of what it is to work with software. I do think there is hope for a new spirit of innovation to emerge.
Well, we'll see what happens in due course. Martin Taylor, thank you.
Sure, thanks.